I've been covering at length the Diddy trial, and I have changed my mind over the past several weeks. Okay, I was like, well, where's the evidence, right? Where is the evidence? All we were seeing from the headlines in the newspaper was that, Diddy was a degenerate, and at least in my opinion, it appeared that his girlfriend was into it or a willing participant. And they were actually charging him with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 charges. We're getting all that after a super quick word from this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, if you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out, and Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for, and ensure that your internet is never censored. Whether it's, keeping people against their will, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, drugs, all this kind of stuff. These were all the charges that he was facing. Now, thanks to coverage from actual lawyers, I understand a little bit more about the RICO charges, which the RICO charges are the real bad one right now, because that will put him away for a very long time. And I was wondering, well, how are they going to get to that? Well, apparently they only need to get 2 of these 8 to stick so that they get the RICO charges. Then yesterday, there was some really brutal testimony that I think puts him away completely. This one is very, very bad. Apparently, his personal assistant testified that she got the struggle snuggle from Diddy, and it was pretty convincing. And this is from Good Logic at the Following Pro, or on Good Logic, like LAW, on YouTube. And I assume he's here on Rumble as well. I hope he's also on Rumble. He put this out yesterday. This is pretty brutal testimony.
Diddy's personal assistant just testified in court that he raped.
Yeah, let's skip that.
Not by force, but basically leaving her in a position that he just came into her bed and just started.
So.
And that she was terrified to say no to him.
So basically, he just walked into his room and took her against her will. Now,
about anything. And then she testified to other sexual encounters as well, where he would just put himself inside her mouth or other
orifices,
other encounters that she said she blotted from her memory. Her testimony was delivered with her stammering and seemingly unable to get the words out, like expressing it as he put his, and she's breathing, labored, she couldn't say the word penis.
Yeah.
Or any other euphemism for the term.
Now, what he's saying is not by force. And, basically everything he's describing is, forcing himself on her. This was very bad testimony. And, and then again, a second woman now, testified that this has happened. And the issue is, if you understand the RICO case aspect of it, they only have to get him on 2 of 8 charges. Okay, 2 of 8. And I talked about this before, but I wanted to show Nate the lawyer's breakdown on basically the real trouble that he's facing now, because it looks like not only are they going to get at least 2 of the 8, they're going to get more than that. And based on everything we've seen now, even with cross-examination, and it's bad.
For instance, when we talk about kidnapping, then we're talking about Capricorn Clark. Arson for 13B is Kid Cudi. Bribery, that's our hotel security guard. Witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is a lot of
sex workers who are transported across state lines to have sex with Cassie. And drug trafficking and drug distribution, well, every party had drugs. And the fact that the government only has to prove 2 out of these 8 particular crimes to get a RICO conviction. And on top of that, if Diddy is convicted of the sex trafficking alone, he's facing a life sentence, then, yeah, it looks like Diddy is in a lot of trouble.
Now, there's a lot of, cross-examination, but the point is, they have paraded probably 1 million different witnesses now that essentially do shore up the charges that they've been put together. I think that, the drugs are indisputable. The arson is indisputable. The witness tampering is indisputable. The trafficking, they could fight that. The prostitution is irrefutable. They literally brought the prostitutes on the stage and they testified to it. I mean, that's 4 right there. 5 out of the 8. So even if they get out of the biggest charges, the trafficking charges, he's still in very big trouble. And then Nate the lawyer does a really good job basically pointing out the uphill battle that he now has.
The federal agents that testified.
So for him to basically get out of this, here's what has to happen.
100%. This trial is going disastrously for Diddy. See, the problem that the defense attorneys are going through is that everyone now has to be lying. The security guard has to be lying. The escort has to be lying. Cassie has to be lying. Dawn Richard has to be lying. The federal agents that testified have to be lying. And those were just the witnesses from the first week. We have the second week's witnesses. We have this week's witnesses that are all going to be saying the same thing. So if you're the defense, even if you do poke holes in one of these witnesses' stories, unless you're poking hole in the whole narrative, then I don't think you really have anything. It seems like Diddy is being walked down the street for a conviction. But let's not prejudge it. Let's wait to see what his defense.
Now, one of the points that, Lucas made on my daily live stream before at 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursdays, and 1 Eastern on Fridays, is that he only needs one juror. He only needs one juror to say, I think they set him up, and he could walk. And that is still, there is still a possibility of that, right? There is still a possibility of a friendly juror or a juror who just says, I think he's being set up. And I think both are actually true. I think it's been my belief since the beginning is that Diddy was a government asset, just like Jeffrey was. That's been my belief since the beginning, is that he was feeding information to the feds. They allowed him to operate with impunity on these crimes and this, that, and the other stuff. And then he became a burned asset. So they said, well, now we're going to charge you with everything. Now we're going to charge you with everything. Okay. You see here, there's new text that came out. Him and his staff are hounding his ex-assistant, accusing him, of this stuff. There was definitely this just looks very, very bad. You know, she testified to the fact that they were harassing her about testifying. I think Diddy has been a Fed, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion. I still think there's a lot of question around how his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend passed away. You know, but I think now that we've had 2, 3, 4 more days of just nonstop people testifying, saying this, that, and the other thing, I think he's cooked. Also take into account where this is being tried. That is the Southern District of New York. Famously, what other trials were held there? This court system gets their convictions. Whether or not, look, Diddy is a degenerate, okay? That's generally not illegal. These other things where he, broke into somebody's house and opened their Christmas presents, literally testified to, tried to burn Kid Cudi's car. These are not really up for debate, as Kid Cudi testified to that as a fact. So when you have Kid Cudi say, yes, he did that, I just don't know how you sit on a jury and say, well, maybe he didn't do that. Even if you take the 2 of the 8 charges that, like, there are 8 charges that at least 3 of these are slam dunks. I mean, the drugs, slam dunk, okay? Hiring prostitutes, that's a slam dunk. And the arson is a slam dunk. All this other stuff, I think, was probably looked the other way by the government so that he could, so that he could operate and turn other people in. It's the same reason we never got any tapes. Remember when we were told that there was all sorts of tapes from these freak-offs, right? Like, remember when he said, when we were, oh my God, who's going to be on these tapes? Ellen DeGeneres, all these people, they're on tape. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? We never saw a single tape. I think the fact that they're trying it as a RICO case, they only need 2 of the 8, and at least 3 of these are slam dunks. There's no denying the drugs. There's no denying the bribery and witness tampering. There's no denying the arson. These other ones, I think you could pick apart. Maybe you could beat 3 or 4 of them. But even then, they still have you on 4 of 8. And I just think, I believe also that they arrested him so that they could confiscate any evidence. Bro didn't sell any drugs is true, but that's not what he's being charged with. He's being charged with distributing them, which he did do. I don't think there's a lot of, again, did the people take them willingly? Yes. Do I think that charge is kind of just tacked on? Yes. The forced labor, the trafficking stuff, I don't believe that I think that everyone participated in that willingly. The assistant that, participated in this stuff willingly and then came back later. There's a lot of people who are very suspect in this, but this is not, he's not getting off on these charges. I don't believe so. But it'll be interesting to say. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. But I think at this point he's basically cooked. Let me know what you think though in the comment section down below. Oh, I forgot to mention. I forgot to do the sponsor part, didn't I? Let me do this.